My name is Naruto Uchiha, and I will rule over the Leaf Village with my power. Believe it!
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Neon Pow here, and this week we are finally getting to it. Part 8 to What If Naruto Was an Uchiha. That meaning, if you have not seen the other parts or need a recap, I have that movie that covers all the previous parts linked in the description underneath that like button and in the card above, so make sure to check that out. Also, because of all the hype and raving you guys have done, I am raising the like goal to 200 likes for this video, so let's see you guys smash that out of the water. I expect you guys to show me up. Let's see what you beast can do. Also, if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, we are trying to hit 20k as fast as possible, so make sure to do that and hit the notification bells to stay up to date with all the juicy what ifs coming to you. So guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the video. We last left our Uchiha twins duking it out against their older brother, Itachi Uchiha. By the end of the fight, they had ended up defeating their ultimate villain. But it wasn't the revenge Naruto or Sasuke Uchiha had expected. Naruto had completely changed personalities, as if he was a different person, and left with Kabuto, while Sasuke was left for dead, with Itachi to fall to his death. However, our over-enthusiastic bundle of joy, Menmo Uzumaki, aka Rock Lee, managed to arrive on the scene and save Sasuke, and in part, Itachi. We'll have to catch up with Naruto Uchiha later, as right now, Sai has ambushed Rock Lee in hopes to seal Sasuke and Itachi's Sharingans for Danzo. With that, we resume our story. Lee hasn't ever really had any contact with Sai before and isn't sure what kind of tricks or powers he possesses. However, he knows what he has to do. If Itachi is telling him the truth, he needs to transplant his eyes to Sasuke and save his friends' vision. With no time to waste, Lee takes a gamble and attempts to finally use his 6th inner gate. To his surprise, he gains a green aura and is able to stabilize it in a new state. Sai has not had any info on this new power and doesn't know what to expect. Lee, with his new power and speed, looks at Sai, and then in a blink of an eye, roundhouse kicks Sai into the distance. He then picks up the two Uchiha bodies and quickly speeds his way back to the village, before Sai has a chance to recover and come back after them. Lee hates the scummy tactic, as he would love to have an actual fight, but his friend's safety comes first. He reaches the village and goes to Sunade and updates her about the current situation. Lee refrains from telling her about Naruto leaving with Kabuto and says instead he was abducted by Orochimaru so that his other friend will not be targeted as a rogue ninja. He also mentions that Sai attempted to attack him for some odd reason. Sunade does find this whole situation confusing and problematic and will need to conduct a further investigation to get down to a conclusion. She is also hesitant on transferring the Sharingans, as they could be falling into the now deceased Itachi's trap. With some persuasion from Lee, and her not wanting the ninja that just brought down one of the Leaf's biggest enemies to stay blind, she goes with the surgery. While Tsunade transplants Itachi's eyes into Sasuke and finishes healing him, Lee keeps guard. The procedure ends up being a success, with Sasuke finally regaining consciousness. Sunade says his eyes will need a few weeks to heal and adjust. A few weeks end up flying by, with Lee just continuing his training regimen, and the time for Sasuke to remove his bandages arrive. As Sunade predicted, Sasuke's light has come back. Sasuke, while grateful to have his vision back, feels disgusted that even after they killed their despicable older brother, he'll have to live knowing he is carrying his eyes. With that said, Lee invites Sasuke to go training and discuss some important details about what happened during the Itachi fight. Lee says that he saw Naruto leaving with Kabuto, and that he just left you to fall to your death without batting an eye. That is definitely something he would never do. Sasuke just stands there in silence from what he just heard. He also knows that Naruto attempted to steal his eyes, but hesitated to do so. Sasuke tells Lee that whatever is going on with Naruto, he must be under some genjutsu, as the abrupt personality change just doesn't make sense. Lee doesn't really know what to do in this grim situation, so he does what he knows best. He looks at Sasuke, gives him a thumbs up, and says,
Naruto is probably just going under some secret training, and we should do the same, so we don't get left behind.
Sasuke just looks at Lee and thinks to himself, he will never get used to this overly positive personality. He then sighs and agrees to get some sparring in since he hasn't had a chance to test out his new eyes yet. Lee gives Sasuke the okay to go all out, so he wants to test Sasuke's full power. Sasuke then activates his Mangekyo, which Lee notices looks a bit different than before, and as he is rushing towards Lee, he ends up pausing and collapsing to the floor. Lee just looks around in confusion as he doesn't know what just happened, and then he slowly approaches Sasuke as he thinks maybe this is some type of new secret move? In reality, what is happening is that once Sasuke activated his Mangekyo, Itachi's pre-programmed Tsukuyomi was activated, transferring Sasuke's consciousness into that world. Sasuke just remembers beginning to spar with Lee, but now he sees his older brother, Itachi, standing before him. Even though Sasuke knows he killed Itachi, he doesn't hesitate to attack, but Itachi stops him and tells him he doesn't want to fight anymore. Sasuke of course doesn't want to hear any of it, but Itachi then tells him that he knows about the situation with Naruto and offers to help save him. This new information intrigues Sasuke for a second, but he knows he can't trust a single word Itachi says. Itachi then proceeds to let Sasuke know that he will show him his past memories, since he has done lying to his brother, and believes Sasuke is now powerful and mature enough to handle it. Sasuke gets overloaded with all the information of his brother. The real reason behind the extermination of the clan and why Itachi was forced to do so by Danzo was that so Itachi could keep the two people dearest to him, Naruto and Sasuke, safe. Once Itachi reveals all the secrets to Sasuke, he then proceeds to tell Sasuke that in his current state, he may have the power to defeat Danzo, but not enough experience to combat his tricks. He also mentions that Sasuke will need to head to the Uchiha hideout, as Itachi has left an important item for him to retrieve. For Sasuke, he has just learned an overwhelming amount of new information, but he knows who his true enemy is. Sasuke has a clear mind and knows that if he wants to save Naruto and do justice for Itachi, he needs to eliminate the corrupt tyrant that is known as Danzo. As the Tsukuyomi is beginning to end, Itachi smiles at Sasuke and gives him a two-finger tap on the forehead, telling him that he wishes he was a better brother to him and Naruto. The Tsukuyomi ends, and Sasuke finally wakes up to see Lee inches from his face. He then slaps Lee to get away from him. Sasuke then apologizes to Lee, and then tells him that they'll need to continue their fight another time, as he isn't feeling too well and needs to take care of some other things. Lee is sad, but understands, and the both of them take their leave. Sasuke sneaks out of the village to head to the Uchiha hideout, where Itachi had told him to go. Once he gets there, he begins searching for the secret door and manages to find it after a few hours. However, the door is locked and there isn't a key to get in. Sasuke then notices a reflected part of the door and comes up with an idea. He activates his Mangekyo and looks at the black reflected orb, and the door actually unlocks. As he opens the door slowly, a crow springs out at him and goes down his throat. This makes Sasuke cough profusely and vomit. He hasn't a clue on what just happened, but only sees a note in an empty room that explains the crow has a special power that could be useful in the future, and that Itachi is entrusting it to his brother. Sasuke isn't too sure what the crow will help him with, but he'd rather not think of the experience again and heads back to the village. Both Sasuke and Lee know that for the time being, they have to trust Naruto is okay. They know with the little info they have, they can't do much. The best thing they can do is attempt to get substantially stronger in the meantime. And with that, 3 years pass by in a blink of an eye. Sasuke has been training with Kakashi Sensei, exploring more of his new visual prowess and advancing his lightning styles. Lee, on the other hand, split up his training between Guy Sensei and Jiraiya. With Guy Sensei, Lee was able to further his taijutsu training by learning, in theory, to open all 8 gates. With Jiraiya, he was given pointers on how to access and control the Nine Tails' power. However, most of the work came down to Kurama's cooperation, which actually surprised Lee when Kurama spoke out to him to say, in a grudging tone,
"Lee, I'm willing to allow you to work under me at no cost, so that no mongrel or those wretched Uchiha shall raise a finger to our power."
Lee can now actually partially access the Nine Tails chakra cloak, which he calls Kurama Friendship Mode! Whenever Kurama is willing, Sasuke and Lee have most definitely used this time gap to make some massive gains. To put their max power on scale, Sasuke is in a similar power to his canon War Art counterpart, while Lee is on par with Canon War Arc Naruto and can multiply that strength depending on which gate he opens. Lee has currently not tried combining Kurama friendship mode with his inner gates, as he doesn't know what could happen. As Sasuke and Lee are sparring with one another and testing out their new abilities, the two ponder about what Naruto is currently doing. As we switch over to Naruto, he is currently being tucked away in one of Orochimaru's hideout, where Danzo is grooming him through power and mind. Over the time period, Naruto has not only advanced his control over his senju cells, but has advanced his Mangekyo visual prowess. He has discovered that in one eye, he can perform a type of time stop jutsu that freezes anyone within a 10-meter distance to him for 10 seconds, while his other eye gives him the ability to change the material of his body based on what he looks at. While both jutsus are powerful and are enhanced due to his senju cells, Naruto is still strictly limited due to the massive chakra consumption and the potential of leading to his blindness, since he does not have the internal Mangekyo Sharingan, even though his senju cells does heal and replenish his eyes to an extent. Danzo, however, is getting restless with Orochimaru and his entire operations. He is also scheming of a way to integrate Naruto back into the Leaf Village so that he can go with his plan to place Naruto in the Hokage spot, with him controlling everything from behind the scenes. As Danzo is thinking of a way, a large grin is produced on his face. He realized a simple tactic on how to raise Naruto's overall status with the people in the village. With Naruto's strength being unmatched, he would just command him to eliminate Orochimaru and his squad, as Danzo does not see any more use from them. From a distance, Kabuto, who was suspicious about Danzo to begin with, overhears the plan and goes to quickly warn Orochimaru. Danzo realizes Kabuto is there, but he feels that pest isn't even worth fretting over, since Naruto won't have any issues whether they are prepared or not. With that, Naruto quickly makes his way to where Orochimaru is. When he arrives, he is welcomed by Orochimaru himself, Kabuto, and the Sound 4. Orochimaru refused to run away, as that seemed beneath him, especially when Danzo was so nice enough to send him his Uchiha vessel. Orochimaru says with a bloodshot red face and breathy voice,
Naruto, I would hate to lose the opportunity to gain such a strong and powerful Uchiha body.
He is obviously overwhelmed by his lust for the Uchihas and underestimates Naruto's extent and power. The two parties charge at each other, and once they collide, a huge explosion forms. And that's where we're leaving part 8 to What If Naruto Was an Uchiha. Now guys, make sure to smash that like button so I know you guys want to see a continuation to this story. And like always, make sure to comment below your opinions as I respond to most of them. And it's always fun to hear what you guys have to say. So without further ado, I'll catch you guys next week. Much love, Neon out.